Welcome back, everybody. Episode 2, The Illusion of Fame. Let me give you an example about what I just said, the illusion of fame, starting with the Van Gogh letters and the preservation of his art by his brother's Theo's wife, Johanna Van Gogh-Bonger, known as the woman who made Vincent van Gogh famous. If she had never saved the letters of the correspondence that her brother and Vincent had, I don't think we would have ever heard of Vincent van Gogh, whoever he was, without that storytelling between his answers to his brother's patronage for his creativity in Paris, also in France. Vincent was anti-hero of sorts. He was so far beyond his time. He only sold one painting to an artist from an exhibition, and nobody really knew what to do about his modern creative expressiveness till this day. A lot of artists emulate. But it was very important that Johanna Van Gogh-Bonger did that legacy and actually preserve that communication between the brothers. Well, actually, Vincent's replies, she managed to save those and his paintings and made him a legend as we know it today, because in 1973 he was the first artist to ever sell a painting, one of the Sunflower paintings, for over $70 million. That was unheard of at that time, and it started this market craze of what we know as the mega artists that are, fueled by the estates. Pablo Picasso, Braque, a whole slew of others that actually made it in this field. But this illusion of fame was created by this. The art market was never like that post Van Gogh. We're living in a post Van Gogh society as far as modern finances and modern art is. But at the same time, without Bonger's efforts and preservation, we would not have this illusion of fame everybody sets out for it and do. Even I, as an artist, would love to see if my work ever survived this cataclysm of life or events that the world can be. Even if we survive and advance as a society, or get completely decimated and all of this stuff that I talk about is oblivion. Who knows? But I give it to Johanna Van Gogh-Bonger for preserving Vincent van Gogh's legacy and his talent, because those letters were so detailed about his procedure, his art making, his mental challenges. Even he had a brief stay with the famous artist Paul Gauguin. Paul Gauguin stayed with him, and oh man, it was unheard of. That union of those two artists in the south of France was infamous in many words, because they fought all the time. Van Gogh and these dudes were just at it, even to the point where they fought over a prostitute, and it led to the famous cutting off of his ear of Vincent van Gogh. It's just crazy how these masters of art at the time didn't know they were that famous. It's just amazing. Imagine now, if we survive as artists 100 years later, or even more, after I die or whatever, and the stories that are left behind. And if this digital copy that I'm talking about manages to survive the test of time, is a testament to my creativity. Not only that I put the work on the walls and actually had work in private collections, but there's also a story behind it, and this is the story. I sincerely thank Johanna Van Gogh, Theo's wife, that's Vincent Van Gogh's brother, to preserve those letters and to actually give a staple and a preservation of a period of time that would never happen again. My name is Juan Gomez, and everything that Johanna Van Gogh-Bonger did for creating Vincent's legacy is an actual important fact of preserving art. I myself, as an artist, I grew up in humble beginnings. I was very fortunate to have two parents living, privileged living. As a child, both my parents, me and my brother, were very creative individuals. We would just draw, draw, and draw and draw. And sometimes, as children, we would be go out. We would go out to the block and mingle with the kids over there. But our parents encouraged us to stay home, and they bribed us with art supplies and bought us tables. And they didn't really want us out there because of the activities of the neighborhood in the early 80s. It was pretty bad out there, but they knew that. But they sheltered us in a way where the creativity became answers to all the questions and the boredom. As a child, you just want to be everywhere. Just energy is just fragrant. It's just abundant. And I'm ever grateful for their endeavors and their sacrifices to make us who we are today. I'm the only one from the initial family to actually graduate college. I didn't necessarily get a degree, but I'm still living with them too. I was fortunate that I was able to do my art practice as a young adult and also not have the weight of the world on my shoulders that I do have now because of my loving parents. They enabled me to become this artist I am today. I am ever grateful. And whoever's out there young listening to this, listen to this. If you're living with your parents, you better take advantage of it because when you leave that nest, everything changes. Everything changes. Your dynamic, the way you do things, the way your time is just not yours anymore. You're just going to have to filter time and figure out how to make things work for you and establish something to preserve your creative practice. It's a hard life, man. It's very hard. And, I have a job right now as we speak. I'm in my 50s. It's not the best job, but that job allows me to do these sorts of things. That was a very hard thing to do. It took me a couple of decades to actually land a job where there's no pressure and something that won't impede my creativity, but life has a way of showing that. I got to tell you, as a young man, I was very fortunate to agree, to achieve some type of attention. I was so sick and tired of school, I remember, and I was working. I left my job. I was actually working in McDonald's at the time in the early 90s. And I said to myself, why am I working when I can't do my own artwork? And I said, you know what? Let me take I literally took a risk and said to myself, I need to do these things in order to achieve. And what I did was I freed up my time, and this was my last year in school, and I made a conscious decision and said to myself, wow, let me just see where this goes. I actually knew that my parents were there to support me, and I had their love and their support to actually help me do this. I was in my 20s. I'm in my early 20s. I had no idea what was out there, but that decision I made, leaving work and just doing art full time, what enabled me to actually, I had a lot of people in school at that time telling me, you should compete, you should compete, you should do the Cresson, you should compete, you should compete. And or compete for a scholarship. I was really reluctant to that. I was just sick and tired of working so much at that time. And I said, you know what? Let me do something impossible. And what I did was I competed for the William Ellman Cresson Memorial Traveling Scholarship. Cresson Scholar back then was like the Oscars at the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts, which is known, the acronym Pafa. Right now, I did the application late. I submitted it, and one afternoon, I was in my studio working, going home, whatever I doing. I received a phone call from the administration, said, are you okay? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And this lady, she told me, "Do you know you won the award?" And I screamed to the top of my lungs. I said, "Wow, really, me?" This 20 something year old kid living in Camden at the time with my folks. Little old me. Once you know it, a week later, I get, I'm in the bullet, I'm on the newspaper. I get a huge spread talking about how I took my creative talents and won this crazy award. I was like, whoa, photographers are taking pictures, and I'd never had that kind of attention in my life of that magnitude. In high school, I had some type of attention that way. I was in television. I won awards. Me and my brother, we did really well in high school. But when it came to the big leagues, that was a whole other monster. And I was like, whoa, really? I can do that. And on top of that, I had the honor of having a wall of my artwork and I sold almost everything on that wall. I was shocked. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Who want these pieces? You know, that was my beginnings of this so-called illusion of fame that was first sight. I was like, I was shocked. I say, is this what art does? Is this what art can do? You know, this is the 90s, people. This is before the internet. This is before any of this digital media came out. You know, it was an exciting time for me. I've known people who have won this particular award. I was also privileged to know the artist Ellen Powell Tiberino. I know the Tiberino family for many years. You know, at that time, that was the place to go. I went to parties and everything. But for me, the party was Ellen Tiberino. She was bedridden. She was battling cancer. No, she was battling the effects of cancer. When I won the award, I had a wonderful conversation with her, and she understood the pressure. She told me she won the same award in the 50s. She was one of the first African American women to actually win the Cresson Award at that time. And when they traveled to Europe at the time, they traveled by boat. But when I went, I was by plane, obviously. But anyway, I was there talking to her. I was this young child. I was like, wow. And she said, I understand what you're going through. I never made a big deal of it. But she understand the emotions, and she actually gave me a lot of wonderful dialogue on how to handle this pressure of this type of attention that I've never had in my life as a young man. Wow, I got to tell you, I credit my parents for enabling me to achieve that pinnacle, that little pinnacle I had in my life at that time, which was in 1991. Man, those were the days. Now, college life is over. My parents sold their home in 2003, and I got to really get to see life for what it was. Paying bills, taking care of me, washing my clothes, buying my food. I've never done such things because when I lived with my parents, they did most of the stuff. I did help them. I was responsible. I had a job. But that little illusion of fame still lingered. It's real, even till this day, but not so much so as I get older. What's more important to me is the creative process and the integrity of the work than the actual money. Money is good. I would like to make a living somehow, hopefully in the future, just to stay away from the structure of work. But if I have to work, I have no other choice because without working, I can't produce any of this stuff, as we all know. And it's like when I got a taste of life and I lived alone. I didn't even have a driver's license. I didn't get that till much later in life. And driving was one of the best things to happen to me later on, but that's another story. Anyway, I have a humble job. I'm a practicing artist as much as I can. I deal with, I don't know, middle age crisis. I recently lost my father in 2022 in December, and it really affects how I think as a creative mind, but it doesn't change who I am as a person. I gotta say, it's it's a very, very, very tough life because of the decisions I made. I could have had a lot of success if I had listened to a lot of individuals in the 90s when they were in power, opening up doors for me, even in the employment end of it. But I was just stubborn. I didn't really listen to these folks that are saying, hey kid, we got a door open to you, go in it. I never knew how to do that. I was always afraid of actually taking these risks, where if I can go back in time, I would take those risks and maybe things will be worse or better. I have no idea. But I just know one thing in life. You must take risks. Even to travel. I mean, recently in June I went to Puerto Rico and it was a risky financial thing. I did it because a friend of mine, she was just so gracious to take the brunt of it, and all I had to do was three things, and I did those three things. And that is a very important thing because a video came out of it, and the way I express my life to talk to people and to present the way things are is very, very, very important. The illusion of fame is real. I consider myself famous because I'm not Van Gogh slicing his ear off, depressed, painting every day with this fiery passion, and have, he died pretty young. I outlived him. Wow. And I've sold pieces of artwork since the age of 14. I was shocked. I sold work even before I went to college. I sold work in college. I sold work out of college. I had the professional exhibition. I did the commissions. I was very fortunate to have a track record as an artist. I mean, online I have a decent presence. I might be outdated on my website, but there are a lot of things that I have to change. Even in my personal life, it's not hard. I am not alone, but yet again, this journey is still alone because in my family, they practice a religion that I do not agree with. So they're very polite with me, but I'm brushed to the side. But I accept that. That's part of this suffering or whatever it is to becoming an artist, for say. This is definitely a good conversation of the illusion of fame. If you can do it, yeah, hell with it. Do it. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to anybody else. Just go out there and jump into the water, feel how it feels. And, you're going to fall and you're going to fall. You're going to fall. You're going to fall until that one day you're just going to fall off and off into the sky and become that person you're supposed to be. I gotta say, I am that person, and I am proud to be that person. I still have a long way to go. Even in my middle age, I still have a long way to go. But hell, there's nothing stopping me at all. Life has its challenges. Even now, I am a difficult person. I can be an asshole. Yes, I say it. I can be a prick. But I don't mean to hurt anyone. I'm not here to serve anyone either. I'm the person that's I'm quite a bit of a narcissist in a way when it comes to creativity, and life can throw you some personalities, which I have some very good people, but at the same time, it could suck the energy out of you like a vampire with blood. Okay, but this is a sample of an illusion of fame. Famous is not what you think it is. If you're doing something innovative now, and if you are creating now, that is your fame right there, what you just created. Whoever perceives it, whoever has the privilege to actually take that fame with them home, they're lucky. It's not the lottery, it's a conversation between the individual and the piece that was created by the artist or artists, whatever it can be, to express individuality and that marriage between the collector and the image. I say it again, the collector and the image. But what's important is we need those people who appreciate what our creativity is to sustain ourselves as creatives. It's hard out there. It's hard out there. I don't have to tell you twice. Anyone that's out there knows, younger or old, whatever. But I got to tell you, we need you. We're not living in the time where the Medicis created the market of art. But we need the patrons out there. We need you to come out to these art shows and say, hey, we exist. But then again, I will say it. We're living in the illusion of fame, people. But the beautiful thing about this is that I have this technology which I bought for dirt cheap and put this together and learned how to edit visually. I have a YouTube channel that I've been working on for the past 7 years that taught me, say, hey, wow, it's about time that I do a podcast because this is necessary to preach the word that is going to be effective to get my creative thoughts out there to many that have the same issues or different issues, whatever it is. But we're in the same mix, people. If you're an artist, we're always put on the side or not taken seriously. But in reality, we got to take ourselves seriously to be taken seriously. Okay, folks, thank you for listening. Until the next show, this is a great time to actually understand the illusion of fame. I mean, seriously, the illusion of fame. Until the next show, thank you for listening. Have a great day, night, or wherever you are. Bye-bye.